Once there was a man called Jacques Bouchet, who lived peacefully in the south of France, enjoying his retirement. It was well-deserved, since his life had not always been that easy. As a neglected child who did not fit very well with the school expectations of that time, he was very early stigmatized as a troublemaker with no future. So he had to leave school to become a butcher, until he had to run away after his own mother decided to betray him by giving his name to the Nazi. Jacques had to hide in the Paris Central Fire Station, where he then became a fireman. In his life, he managed to learn all sorts of skills, dispositions, and jobs, and eventually became a photographer. One day, Jacques traveled to Asia, where he had the opportunity to sail on a bamboo boat. And because of that, when he came back to France, he got so inspired, so excited, that he decided to build his own ship with bamboos and plastic bottles. So he started to make research, reading books, interviewing local sailors. And he started carefully to draw his first plans in his kitchen. From the plans that he made, he started to make a first prototype, which worked quite nicely for a couple of years. But Jacques felt, well, there's space for improvement here. And he noticed lots of different things he could maybe change, tweak, in order to improve his prototype. So he made a new one. Bigger, more robust, sophisticated, changed the design a little bit. And he finally made 6 boats, each time trying hard to think about how he could improve the previous one. Although he was not looking for fame, Jacques was noticed by local and national media, who found his story quite unusual. Just picture that. You're in Saint-Tropez in the south of France, which is a very fancy little town, with lots of stars and billionaires who have their huge boats. And in the middle of that, you have this man smoking his pipe on his bamboo boat. Smoking lavender, by the way, which is also quite unusual. The very last boat Jacques Bouchet made in his life, at the age of 80, was for his great-grandson's first birthday. Jacques Bouchet passed away last August, and his story reminded me that we can learn a lot from storytelling. Quite rarely, we hear about hidden stories of the people around us. And you may say that it's uneasy to share these stories because they're usually very personal. And you'd be absolutely right. But isn't that also why they can be precisely so valuable? Please take a few seconds right now to look at the person on your left. Now on your right, if you have one. These people have stories as well, and they can be extremely interesting. So if they are keen to share these stories with you, I guarantee that the next break is going to be very special. You know, we're not always aware of it, and sometimes we don't necessarily want to, but we all have a role to play in others' stories. Just like you have a major role already in your students' stories. If we go back to Jacques Bouchet, we can all notice that Jacques Bouchet was resilient, that he was curious, he was imaginative, he was thinking in a different way. And usually in stories, these stories will reveal someone's qualities or dispositions. In this case, we could clearly identify them. And dispositions are extremely important, as you know, because this is what our students will need the most when they leave us. As the Project Zero team say, dispositions are the residuals of education, what is left after education. So here, as educators, we can all create, shape a culture where our stories are told, where learning opportunities we offer for the students allow them to be curious, empathetic, inspired, problem solvers, and lots of other many dispositions. This is the story of Jacques Bouchet. This is the story of my grandfather. Thank you.
So the first one is tuning. So in the case of Jacques Bouchet, tuning for him, we can say that the trip to Asia was clearly a provocation for him. He started to wonder lots of different things about his boat and how he could maybe make it a boat himself. And he also thought about his prior knowledge and experience, because my grandfather built 3 houses completely by himself. So he thought probably, I guess, he probably thought, I could use that experience. I could use that prior knowledge maybe to build, a boat. So it's the same idea here, to activate prior knowledge. Finding out, in this case, I guess when he came back, he probably had lots of questions about bamboo, plastic bottles, shipping, regulations, and lots of other things that he ignored completely at that time. So I presume that he was probably thinking, should I contact the city to see if I can just go to the local forest and get bamboo? Or should I go to the little harbor and interview local sailors to find more about what I'm allowed to do? So he probably had all these questions at the beginning. Sorry, that was... Then, in sorting out, he gets a better understanding of what it takes to make a boat. But still, he has to think about the different materials he will have to use, so he can maybe consider different ones, test the different bottles, think about different designs, the resources he will need, and try maybe to curate a little bit, what kind of resources he will need. Then there's going further, which is to extend your inquiries. And here in this case, I guess it was really about addressing misconceptions. So for example, he probably at the beginning thought that he would need, 20 plastic bottles. Then he realized by doing some research that he needed way more than that, etc. So all these little things that he previously thought would be possible, then he probably had to make some adjustments in this phase. And maybe learn more about specific topics that he identified as key elements of his project. Then making conclusions. Here, at that stage, he has a very clear idea of what he wants to achieve. He knows exactly what he wants to do. So his drawings become very accurate. He has a very good understanding of where he's going to. And taking action, which is really the phase where now he can build his boat. He has a plan, he has a clear idea, he has a plan, he can do it. So he's building the boat, he can enjoy the boat, now he can be on the sea and really fulfill that in the whole process. At that time as well, it's when he starts to realize that, hey, I have new inquiries now. I have new questions, and I noticed a couple of things that I want to improve. And so that's the reflecting part, which is actually a bit everywhere in the whole process, but especially at the end. It's even more present at the end. And that's when usually we have this right to think that after a couple of years, we usually remove the plastic bubbles and he burned the boat. That's what he did. He made a big fire in the garden and he used to burn completely the boat and start again the whole process. So we could clearly see that for him, he did actually 7 times the whole inquiry cycle. So it was really non-stop. So if he was still alive now, he would probably still be, thinking about the next one, the next boat.